check it out. Hi everyone, it's Melissa here again, and I'm here with the wonderful Tori Purcell to talk about her beauty standards article. Hi Tori, how are you?
Hi Melissa, I'm doing fantastic. How are you? I feel like normally I interview you.
I know, it's such a nice switch. Okay,
Wow.
so I heard some great things about your article. I heard you won an award for it. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. It was really exciting. So Mrs. Colleton actually a while ago told me that she was going to submit it to the Pennsylvania Foundation Literary, I can't remember the exact name of it.
They can look
Publishing,
it up.
yeah.
Yes.
And I forgot about it completely until I actually ended up getting a text from her through like a remind thing. She was like, "Hi Tori, like just want to let you know you won second place with your article." So I was like, "Wow, that's great." I completely forgot I was even entered in anything. So now I'm even more like it was just like an added bonus, you know, instead of being like, "I hope I win." Like it was just kind of like, "Oh wow," like a nice bright spot because mostly I just wanted the article to have an impact. It wasn't really to she was just like, "Hey, this is a side thing I'm going to do," and it won second place for the opinion.
So you attended a little ceremony for it?
Yeah.
When did that happen? What was it about? How did it go?
So it was actually this past Saturday. It was very intimate. There was like a group of people. We went up to Lancaster. We went to this like, I want to call it a deli cafe kind of thing. Really good food. It was really great. They had good pickles. I had one. It was delicious. My parents came with me. They supported me. There's 3 other high school students there who were part of a newspaper, and their teacher came. Mrs. Colleton couldn't come, unfortunately, but my parents were there to support me. And then it was like a professional one, so like people who actually work for real newspapers and everything, and then a student edition too. So it's pretty cool to get to meet some people who work in the real newspaper industry.
That's awesome. So we've been hyping up this article all day long. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
What was your beauty standards article about? Like more in-depthly.
Essentially what happened was, so as you can see, my hair is shorter, but at the time I cut my hair to a very short pixie cut.
Right.
And mostly it was just something I wanted to do. I didn't really have a reason behind it, but I got a very strong reaction, which I knew going in that I was probably going to get, but I was almost surprised by the amount of reaction I got, just the fact that it was just hair, at the end of the day, it's really just hair. So I got a surprising, I don't want to say pushback, but definitely, on both sides of the scale, support and kind of passive-aggressive comments. So I decided to take that and really think about how beauty standards affect not only women, but men too, and how, we all kind of in America have this ideology of what beauty means, when I think that perhaps the best standard to have is no standard at all.
How important do you think it is to break down these barriers of standards for beauty and for gender? How important do you think it is that we do something about that?
It is so important. It is so high on my agenda for me that it wasn't really even a question to write this article. It was just something that I felt I needed to do. It wasn't should I or shouldn't I, because quite honestly it was very personal. I was putting business out there that was something that I didn't have to, but I felt that I needed to, because it's so important to let young girls and boys know that how they look has no reflection on who they are inside, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. And if they want to change their appearance, then by all means they can absolutely do that. That's kind of the wonderful thing about today, is that you can cut your hair and dye it and pierce things on your face or your ears or your body, and it's honestly just a really cool way to express yourself. But that's exactly what it is. It's expressing yourself. It's not defining who you have to be. It's not your waist to butt ratio that people seem to have in America.
So beauty standards seem to be littered throughout our media, through our school, and obviously even you firsthand had experience in that. So what are some ways that you think that we can combat these issues that we have in our society, in our local community, and beyond that?
Well, for one, I definitely think that a lot of these things that happen are microaggressive, meaning that people aren't coming out and saying, hey, this happened, I'm hiring this person because they're more beautiful than the other person. It's almost something that, I don't want to say instinctual, but has been ingrained for so long that it's become second nature.
Right.
And in order to combat that, we have to recognize what's happening. So first and foremost, you have to be, for one, willing to look at yourself. I know there's definitely been times where I've probably done the same thing that I'm trying to fight against, but the thing is that you really just have to be aware of what you're doing and take a second and think about the effects of what that's going to have on not only that person or whoever it is, but yourself too. if I'm trying to push something forward, I don't want to take 10 steps backwards by saying something. So just kind of having your own introspection about how you live your life and go about it. And then also being willing to call out other people when they say things too. A lot of times people get really uncomfortable with that. But if you say it, I think, in a way that isn't going to be destructive and instead constructive and building, then no one's going to be upset with you. And if they are, then that's just an experience for them. Maybe it'll have some impact on them later on, but that doesn't have to tear you down just because that was a bad experience. It just pushes you forward to keep trying more. When I have a bad experience with someone who pushes back against me, I just find it motivates me more to the next time maybe try something different with someone else. And it all depends on the person. You really have to read your situation.
So let's go back to talking about your hair. So obviously there was nothing behind your decision to motivate you to cut your hair, but people seem to put this stereotype on you for having short hair and maybe questioning your sexuality because you cut your hair. So this big problem in society is this stereotype that we put on people for their appearance and defining their sexuality by that. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. There was just a huge assumption that after I cut my hair that I liked girls. That was just a input that I did not, that's okay too. If you want to cut your hair in that way, then absolutely. But that does not define who you are either. Just because you have short hair doesn't mean that you like girls. Right. So, and that's for boys too. That, just because they have short hair or long hair, whatever it is, that does not define someone's sexuality. If you want to express yourself in different ways, then absolutely. That is you, but at the end of the day, it's who you are on the inside that really dictates about how you're living your life. So I think a lot of people put their own, projected their own ideas onto me and my appearance with things that they thought, and honestly, at the end of the day, just stereotypes that they had. Quite honestly, nothing about me changed except for my hair, but people thought that meant something in me had changed. So I think that we all have to be mindful of, just not expecting things of people that might not necessarily be true. And if you are confused about something, I think that the best thing to do is to ask. And a lot of times people will ask and it can come off offensive. So once again, you have to be aware of how you're asking and what you're asking. If you're curious about something, then that's going to come off very different than if you're assuming something. And I think that that's the main difference there. So, no doubt there's no offense in asking someone that question, but you have to be mindful of the experience that they're having or the reason behind it too. And, also definitely, part of the reason that I kind of felt this weird backlash was that people weren't coming directly personally to me. They were going to people around me, which felt odd because it felt like they were afraid of me or didn't want to talk to me about it and thought it was weird. So it was something I was very open about talking about, and obviously that came through my article. It opened this doorway of communication with people. I definitely enjoyed.
So do you think one of the problems with this is that people can't just talk about it openly because they think it's a topic that they shouldn't be speaking of, and that's why they go through all these different avenues to still talk about it, but not directly?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's just this backhanded way to go through finding out things, and if you go through all these back doors, then at the end of the day, you're going to get misinformation or just unclear information. My friends don't necessarily know the reason that I cut my hair, or they won't communicate it the right way. You have to go to the source of the person, or whatever it is that you're really curious about. Why'd you pierce your ear? That's a question you can ask, or and there's different questions that when you really should just be going through that person if you want to know, because you're gonna find that it's kind of whispered down the lane. The information gets skewed, and then it's not as genuine.
Right.
It goes through so many places, and even if your friends have the best intentions, then it's still not the source of the person. So I definitely think that there's a lot of miscommunication through that avenue too.
So we definitely heard a lot of your background on how you wrote your story, but do you have a favorite part about your whole entire message in your article?
I think my favorite message that I'm really trying to get at, and the overall point, is that America has a standard for beauty, and things are very skewed towards it, and it's not something we like to talk about. It's something we very much keep in the back of our minds. But there's just research that people who are found more attractive are more likely to get better jobs, are more likely to make more money. And there's just so many things proving that we have this mindset, but no one will talk about it. So I think that overall, I just wanted to open this door and talk about it, and also kind of just show that we need to not have this standard anymore.
Right.
And we need to break down these things and move forward as a country. And honestly, as a world, we need to start looking towards a new way of looking at beauty and what it truly means to be beautiful.
So, do you want to read a little piece from your article for us?
Absolutely, I would love to. I've been trying to all day. I finally get to read a piece of my article, guys. All right, so I'm going to read the first paragraph of it. It's quite a bit longer than that, so I'll read the first paragraph, and then if you guys want to read more, you can go to NAHS Wingspan and read the full article if you want to go into my profile. There's other awesome stories on there too besides just mine. But this is Fighting Against the Beauty Standard, One Haircut at a Time. Snow White was the fairest of them all. That was why the queen tried to poison her. Not because Snow White had the cure for cancer or because she was extraordinarily kind. It was because she was pretty. This seems to follow a beauty standard that we uphold in the US. No matter how beauty standards have changed over time, there is something that they all have in common, a standard. You either meet the criteria for being beautiful or you don't. Perhaps you're thinking, well, that's okay, there's other redeeming qualities to have besides physical attractiveness. And you're right, except society doesn't seem to think so. According to the Social Issues Research Center, in a majority of situations, attractive people are coming out on top. Whether it be getting a better education, getting a job, or getting a shorter crime sentence, society has a prestige attached to pretty faces. We ultimately think that being good on the outside means you're good on the inside.
Wow, that was amazing. So is there anything else you would like to add about beauty standards and what we should do about them?
Yeah, I just want to definitely add that obviously the tone of my article isn't 100% serious. I have this kind of lighthearted nature to it, and when it comes down to it, sometimes that's the easiest way to talk about it. If you want to, add some of your own spice to it and talk about it in a way that makes you feel comfortable, then as long as you're talking about it, then that's the most important thing at the end of the day. And as long as you mean well, then that'll come through too. So absolutely just get out there. If you want to cut your hair, then cut your hair. If you want to grow it out to the floor, grow it out to the floor. It's your choice, it's your decision. And whatever you want to do, it's not a reflection on who you are as a person on the inside. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So instead of worrying about what you have on the outside, worry instead about how you're reflecting yourself from the inside out.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Tori. Your message is super important. So guys, that was Tori Purcell talking about her beauty standards article. Remember to read the rest of it. It's super amazing, one of my favorites that Tori has written. And let's get this conversation started, because that's the only way that we can break down all these beauty standards that people seem to have in our country and in the world. Now back to Corinne and Sam.